Okay, here we go with a look at my alignment system, how we get into formations. I think it's something that's really worthwhile looking at. So simple, but allows you to get into so many formations and really easy for your players to learn. Okay, let's take a look then at, first of all, how we get to our receiver. This is the first word in our call. We'll start out looking here at what we call a rip. Now everything is based on words. The words all have some meaning built into them. Makes it easy for everybody to remember. It gives them something to latch onto, and it's I think makes a big difference. It's one of the things that I think really adds to this. So we take a look at RIP. R-I-P. R for right, I for inside, P for position. So we have the tight end in a rip. That's a right inside position. We use the 3-yard split. Whatever your tight end split is, what he'd be in. Now by rule, the Z, flanker always goes with the Y, so he'll be on the right. And our X goes away from the call, so he'd be on the left here. Now the opposite of a rip would be a Liz. Okay? Here's something we do a lot of. And I don't know if it's something that you've done, but this gives you the flexibility of it. If we have a tight end that's not great in the box and we want to open him up, we'll put him out in a flex. Since he's on the right, it's an R again. And EX, Rex, that's a right flex. So we have a rip when he's in and a Rex when he's out. Okay, doesn't change anything for the Z, doesn't change anything for the X. So we've got a rip and a Rex. And those, now the opposite of a Rex, if he was on the left, would be a Lux. That doesn't sound exactly the same, okay, but we didn't want it to. We didn't want to say Rex and Lex. In the huddle, sounds too much alike. So it's Rex and Lux, Rip and Liz. Okay? So that takes care of the base of our receivers in their lines. Now we have some adjustments that we use. Let's take a look at them. Couple of adjustments for our flanker. Okay? And let's take a look at these. The first thing is, a lot of people look at this and I think most people call this twins left. Well, we don't want to do that because our tight end is still on the right, and our tight end is what controls our calls. So he's still in a right inside position. That's a rip. Okay? But we took the Z, who was here, and we told him to go over to the other side. I mean, that's what you would say to somebody the first time you met them. If you took little kids and you wanted to take him from here, you'd tell him, go over there. So that's what we call it, an over. That is a word for the flanker, for our Z, to go to the other side, to go over to the other side. So this call would be a rip. We still know where our 3-man blocking side is. It's a rip over. Okay, so that's how we call it, rip over. Now we haven't gotten in any of this to the call for our extra man. What we call our extra man, our fullback or H-back, and we'll get to that in a minute. All right, another call, and probably the only other call for our Z, is we want him to go 1 by 1 outside our tight end or the last man on the line of scrimmage. Now, how do we get him to do that? We tell him to go close. I mean, that's what you would say. So this is a rip close. Here's a rip over. Here's a rip close. Again, on the other side, it would be a Liz over or a Liz close. This is a rip close. All right, now we've got an adjustment for our split end, for our X. We take him from his normal alignment and we bring him in and we put him at 7 yards. Okay, we put him at 7 yards and we call it tight. So this look that you have here is a rip tight, and then we would add the word for our back set, and we'll get to that. So this is a rip tight. Now we like this down in the red zone and at the goal line, and we'll do this. We'll go rip, close, tight, and of course you see this, and now we're in position where we can get some great crossing routes, and it also puts us in a position if we want to throw fade routes. Our guys have much more room to run to the flag, and it really helps us. So that's how we get to that, and it's very simple. Rip, close, tight. All right, now let's take a look how we set the back. Now this can either be a fullback, or it could be an H-back, or it could be an extra receiver if you're going to use them out and put them in a wide and a split, or even in a wing and a slot. Okay, but let's go through this. To the tight end side, if we put the fullback offset to the tight end, we use the word near. He's near the tight end. Again, real simple to hang your hat on that. Tell a fullback the first time you meet him, how are you, what's your name, go to a near. Go near, on the near side of the tight end. Okay. Outside the tight end is a wing. You know, a wing back. Simple terminology. So this player, everything blacked out here is all one player. Could be a fullback, could be an H-back. Okay? So we have near, we have wing, and then when we put them out, we'll go wide. So wing and wide are to the tight end flanker or the call side. Away from the tight end. That back set, that offset fullback is in a far. We move him up and we put him in a slot. That's opposite the tight end. He's one by one outside the last man on the line of scrimmage, who is the offensive tackle on the open side, and that is a slot. And then when we put him out half the distance, or midway as we call it, plus a yard, he's split. So to the tight end side, it's near, wing, and wide. Away from the tight end, it's far, slot, and split. Now, we come up with tons and tons of formations, and you'll get to see that as we go into that. Let me just show you again how using this stuff, you can get yourself anything you want. Let's be a little creative. Let's take this guy who's the slot guy and put him up there, and of course, because he's on the line of scrimmage, he moves off. This would be a rip, right? Tight ends to the right, rip, slot up, rip, slot up, and we get double tight, double wide. I mean, only your imagination can hold you back from doing just about anything you want to do with this. And again, for your players, they never learn anything new. You know, I've said to guys, you know, can you get in a formation that puts your fullback out wide? No, we don't have anything like that. Well, we do. We can do that real simple. Or it could be an H-back, and we want to put them in here. And we'll get to formations and that kind of stuff in the next section, in alignments part 2. All right? Here in part 1, I just wanted to explain to you the process. So here's what we would have. Okay? If we clear away some of this stuff and just move it out, let me just move it out of the way. Okay? What we have here is a rip. Okay, let's get this stuff out of the way. Here's how we would call this. This would be a rip near. That's our formation here. Rip near. If we move them up here, it would be a rip wing. This would be a rip wide. Okay? And that's how simple all this is. That's exactly how simple it is. Take them. There's a rip far. Okay? Rip far. Rip slot. Rib split. It's that simple, taking this one player, fullback, H-back, and moving him around. All right? So there we are with our alignments. I love it. Take a look at it, and then come back and take a look at part 2, where we'll get into some formations.